Hello everyone, I am Left, and welcome back to my new video today, in which we're going to be going over the Vainglory Update 3.2 patch notes. All of the changes, the hero changes, the gameplay changes, just everything that I think is the most important. We're going to be skipping over things that I think are inconsequential here, or things that are just too honestly complicated for me to talk about in a video like this. So let's begin. With Update 3.2, Princess Malene is coming out, and there's no info about her actually in these patch notes. However, what we do know is that she has two different forms. Now, it's unclear how those are going to work yet, but I know how they're going to work. I'm just not allowed to tell you yet. So all I can say is that you guys are going to love playing her, and she's something unique that the game has never seen before. So let's begin with Ghostwing. Ghostwing's Blessing now grants an additional 25% damage to structures. This is huge. Now also, Ghostwing got more health. He got 100 more health, which means it's harder to destroy him as the game goes later. So yeah, Ghostwing's Blessing grants an additional 25% damage to structures. This is very big. Ghostwing was already valued tons more over Blackclaw in competitive play and in pro level scrims. This is only going to cement that. Ghostwing is what you do after you kill a couple people in the mid game. You put down vision, you take the positioning around Ghostwing, make sure they can't safely contest it. Then you use that Ghostwing buff to win out the lanes that you've probably already been winning with your superior matchups, and that's how you win at 5v5. So the extra damage to structures is just going to amplify the effects of what people can do with that. Next, let's talk about Blackclaw. Blackclaw is getting more health as the game goes on, with a 200 extra from 1400 to 1600 on his time bonus. His defense has gone down by a little bit though. Also, the damage that he takes from turret explosions has been changed from a variable amount to just a flat 15% of his health. Now, this is a good buff for Blackclaw. I felt like he was always dying too quickly to turret explosions. So, Ghostwing, still way more important, but Blackclaw is definitely going to be a lot better in 3.2. Lane minions are having their movement speed increased from a 3.895 with a time factor of 0.055 to just a flat 4.5. This change is a little bit complicated. I can't personally foresee how this is going to play out in the meta. I mean, it just means that the earlier game minions are going to get there faster, but like really late game minions, like the ace minions, if you destroy an inhibitor, those are going to probably be a little bit slower. Now, the important thing about the minions, I say, are that the spawn time for the first minions is now 20 seconds instead of 30 seconds. In competitive play recently, high tier ranked, it's been popular for the mid laner to clear the first wave of minions before going to his own crystal buff. Now this is going to be an even more viable strategy in the mid lane, and possibly even the other lanes too, because the minions are going to be there 10 seconds earlier. The minions' gold costs were also tweaked a little bit. The ranged minion now gives 30 gold instead of 20. The siege minion now gives 40 instead of 45. And the captain minion now gives 50 instead of 70. Now on to the hero balance changes. Alpha received 100 more health for her level 1 infinite reboot and 200 less health at her level 12 infinite reboot. So it is, instead of 500 to 2800, it's 600 to 2600. Prime Directive received a weapon ratio nerf of 20%, and Core Charge received a nerf of 1% bonus damage per stack, and then 3% at Overdrive. Baron had his weapon power increase from 71 to 108 to 71 to 130. We might actually be seeing some more Baron now, because these are the numbers that we had back when Baron was the end-all, be-all, like, lane carry. Fortress had his Law of the Claw nerfed. It now takes one more basic attack to proc the Mortal Wound bonus damage, and its cooldown was also increased. The Wolf health of Attack of the Pack was also reduced by 200, 150, and 100, respectively at all levels. Grumpjaw's Grumpy now does less bonus damage per stack, and the crystal ratio is 5% more. Idris's Divergent Paths, the basic attack ratio on his crystal attacks is going from 80 to 75%. The bonus crystal damage went from 30 to 85 to 19 to 85. So this, in my eyes, is targeting the whole Idris buys 5 crystal bits at level 3 and gets his perk thing. That's what it looks like to me. But Crystal Idris will still be strong, I predict. Jewel's Thunderstrike Pierce was increased from 5 to 10% to 10 to 15%. Now, this is a big change for Jewel. We might see a lot more Jewel recently, even though we've already been seeing Jewel in competitive. Crystal Jewel, Weapon Jewel, we'll see. Now, I don't think Jewel has the potential to become completely broken, because she's always exploitable, especially in 5v5. Just attack her from the back, attack her from different ways, there's nothing she can do. Anyways, though, I think this is a good change for Jewel. Kestrel's Glimmer Shot. The base damage was decreased from 40, 70, 100, 130, 190 to 40, 70, 100, 130, 160. So that's a 30 base damage decrease. That's for the weapon. But the crystal ratio on the splash through damage has gone from 140% to 135%. So we may be seeing a little bit less Crystal Kestrel, but this change also might be negligible and we could still see a lot of Crystal Kestrel. Lance's base stats. His health was increased from 842 to 2587 to 842 to 2609. So that's a change of 22 base HP. I mean, I don't really know why they did this, honestly. But more importantly, the delay for missing Impale is gone from 1 second to 0.7 seconds. So that's good news for Lance players that are maybe still learning how to hit those Impales. Petal's Spontaneous Combustion has been completely reworked, and it has also gained a 30% bonus crystal ratio for the heal that it gives. Activating this ability now sends the nearest Munyon dashing towards the target location, and it will explode after 1.2 seconds. So this is good for Petal. She no longer has to deliberately target a certain person to use her ultimate on them, and like the 1.2 seconds thing, I think that's a longer delay before the seeds explode, which means that they won't be exploding before they reach the target anymore, unless she's really far out of range. Reza's Firestarter the crystal ratio on it was reduced from 120% to 115%. This will make Reza a little bit more a little bit less oppressive in certain matchups, but I don't think it will completely kill him. Rona's base weapon power was reduced from 88 at level 1 and 156 at level 12 to 77 at level 1 and 156 at level 12. This is a very welcome change because Rona has been absolutely god since 5v5 came out. They've tried nerfing her, nothing's worked. She's just completely unkillable in most lane matchups unless she's against utility Taka, which is always banned. I don't care what they do to her as long as it means we see less Rona, I don't care. Samuel's Corrupted Genius was reduced by 10 at level 1, the healing on that, and Drifting Dark's cooldown was reduced from 20 at all levels to 23 at all levels. Scarf's Goop, the crystal ratio on the ignition damage from 50 to 110% crystal ratio. The damage per second was changed from 130 to 80. So they've shifted the damage from the damage per second to the ignition damage. This is a good change for Scarf, I think, because he's kind of struggled in 5v5, all the mobile heroes not really able to get caught in his goop. They shift the damage to the ignition, and this allows him to do a lot more damage with his goop more consistently. The base damage on Dragon's Breath has been increased at, level 2, level 3, level 4, and level 5. Level 1 Dragon's Breath is still the same. So Scarf has gotten buffs all across the board. I think we're going to be seeing a lot more Scarf in different positions in 3.2. Sky's auto attack range has been increased from 6 to 6.1. Now, this means the Sky will be a little bit better into certain lane matchups, like maybe melee targets that were able to harass her a little bit more, or short range heroes like Vox, things like that. Forward barrage, damage against non-heroes and structures has been increased from 75 to 100. So now Sky is not going to be completely useless for taking objectives like she has been for so long. The crystal ratio of forward barrage to balance this out has been reduced by 10% from 160% to 150%. Taka's House Kamaha perk. The bonus damage has gone from a flat 50 to a 30 to 63 scaling with levels. The base damage of Kaiten was reduced at all was reduced at the higher levels, and the crystal ratio has been changed from 80 to 110%. The base damage of ExRetsu has been butchered from 300, 450, 600 to 250, 350, 450. However, the crystal ratio on his bleed has been changed from 50 to 65%. So they're shifting the damage away from the initial strike to the bleed. I think this is a good change for Taka, and it's going to result in him not being so oppressive in lane matchups anymore when he gets those cooldown items, because the cooldown Taka builds that we've been seeing did not rely a lot on hard crystal power. Now, with these changes, he's going to have to rely more on hard crystal power. Personally, I think these are the perfect things to do to Taka, and it's going to balance out the meta a lot. 2 more heroes to talk about. Let's talk about Tony. The damage of his Jawbreakers has been reduced at lower levels. Actually, it's been reduced all across the board. 20, 60, 95, 130, 165 is the old damage. 10, 40, 70, 100, 130 is the new damage. The weapon ratio of Jawbreakers increased from 30 to 40%. Lastly, Various Chain Lightning base damage has been increased from 60 to 137 to 70 to 147. However, the crystal ratio of it has been decreased from 45% to 40%. Now, that's it for the heroes, but there are still some items that I want to talk about that are probably going to be really impactful on the 5v5 meta. First, let's talk about Aftershock. The percent life damage has been decreased from 14 to 13%. Now, Aftershock has been very widely used since it came out. I mean, it used to be like a completely useless item in like 1.5, 1.6 when I just got the game. But the heroes that have been using Aftershock regularly in 5v5 have been having a little bit too much fun with it, so they decided to nerf it 1 percentage point. Breaking Point. The damage required to gain a stack has been increased from 160 to 170, so this just makes it a little bit more tough to get Breaking Point stacks if you don't have a lot of weapon. The cost of minion candy has been nerfed from 100 to 75. Now this is good. Minion candy was probably too expensive at 100. Lastly, probably my favorite item change, Storm Crown. Base damage decreased from 50 to 160 to 40 to 130. The damage to heroes and structures has been decreased from 25% to 20%. I don't think I need to talk any more about this. Storm Crown is cancer, and I'm glad to see it go. So everything else is just a talent-based, or is just a talent change. I think that's it for all the important things. I didn't actually end up skipping anything, so that's good. Not going to talk about the talents because I hate talents, but anyways, thank you for watching this video.